Okay. Um, this is my late night testimonial. Um, One thing first of all, I want to say I'm thankful. Uh, as a target individual, we are surrounded by people who are trying to dumb you down and accept this reality and disorients you and distort reality and deceive. The deception is nonstop. I always gonna use these three words all the time because there is truly words that describe what's happening to me as a target individual and as a lot of target individual. We're deceived to think that these people doing this to us are certain ways, based on the psyops. We're deceived to believe that we are people that they are doing this for a certain purpose. The deceptions in these programs are crazy. The deceptions of, first of all, how this technology manipulates you and then try to deceive you into accepting these manipulations, and the deceptions of how they try to present themselves as. We gotta understand that these entities controlling this program are not some bottom, like some, they're not some like private entity doing this. It's delusional to think this way. But the deception is so strong that it can force you to think this way. At this point, you'll be stupid to think that this government has no impact in this program. They run this program. No private entity has billions and billions of dollars that can manipulate people all around the world and and pay people to act certain ways and do this noise campaigning. Like, it's obvious the government is running this. So with me, it's been a lot of psyops, and I've talked about it even before I met some of the people I'm talking to. Like right now, I just got on the call, and I talked with this perp. She's a perp, and she reminds me of who I like. If I go back into my like I wrote if you go into my video, I think it was in October 2020. In my Vilify video, and you go into descriptions, I'd literally address the people that are trying to get you to accept this false reality. I describe some of the perps being people who try to present themselves as these social aware, social influencers, not social influencers, but social aware activists, like very like almost full activist type of facade. Now, they do these things where they do participate in organizations and things like that, but also participate in this program that's obviously run by the government. And it's beyond obvious, right? And somehow want you to look at this and think that, oh no, this is not ran by the, like, you, to the point where, for example, me, the level of humiliation they have, because I know I'm gonna be in so much tormented and torture, because this psyop has been so humiliated by the reality, because they try to distort reality so bad that based because of because the distorted reality they put together is so falsified that the actual reality is embarrassing them. For example, the people who put me in this program donated a lot of money to a lot of conservative people, extremely conservative. And the psyop they were trying to present is to counter who put me in this program. And sometimes, just to remind them that I know how bottom feeders they are and how fraudulent they are, I say the name of a person that they have been having issues saying his name for a purpose or another, but mostly because my employer donated a lot of money to that person. I say Roy Moore, right? Roy Moore has no connection to them in regard of me. But the reason why they can't say it is because the employer put me in this program. Somehow there's some kind of restrictions for them to not say his name. And so this person who was allegedly a pedophile, who's allegedly a pedophile, but when he was 35 years old, now he's like in his 70s, he used to pick up kids as young as 14 years old. Which is the irony. The irony of it all is because now today they try to frame me with this like 14-year-olds who say that they're gonna say something I did to this kid, right? They're gonna create this frame, and they have to distort reality. in every ways, because they can't say Roy Moore. They're gonna try to create me to be him. Distortion of reality is all they do. But reality is, if you can't say Roy Moore, who you? I mean, who's running this? So that just, but there's so many other obviousness that, this program ran by these government entities. These entities happen to have a lot of pedophiles too. That's just a coincidence, at least. But at least that's something. I don't know if it's an actual correlation or not, but those entities have a lot of pedophiles. The DoD, the DARPA, CIA. They have pedophiles in these entities, and there's been a problem about it. They've been talking about, which is maybe a coincidence, maybe it's not, but that's the irony of it all. And these people have been renowned to do this pedophile type of torture systematically. Almost all target individuals have been forced to experience these things. This is something that's consistently done to people, systematically, targeting a torture type of it's a what's the word I should say, it's a tactic used to torment people. They've been doing the pedophile type of torture, and so they've also done tortures implemented onto children, sexual torture. Those are all testimonials. It's not me coming up with this. I'm not saying, let me guess, they torture children. No, people have talked about seeing their own children being tortured the same way they torture adults. I always try to make this joke, not even a joke, but I try to like bring up the fact that, my crotch area is hurting when I talk to a perp. I think wanting her to understand and read in between the lines that I know you torture children sexually. Because one thing they like to do is like to bring up what I did as a child, right? I did some stupid things to myself. Like, a child can do an impulsive thing and something that I did to myself. And I hear this this woman saying, child abuse, right? She needs to exaggerate, because the reality of what I did is not something that was towards the child. I was a child myself. I did something toward me. I did something to myself when I was a child, right? I did not harm a child, but I was the child who did something to myself. Now, when she said child abuse, and I know the abuse they apply onto the children, and it's not just abuse, it's actual systematic torture. I mean, they're suffocating kids. They are sexually torturing children. This is not an 8th grader who do something to himself impulsively as a child. Those are perps contracted by the government that would torture and aim this military-grade weaponry toward children. Now, when I hear a grown woman trying to block out reality and trying to make me think that what I did as a child should be even comparable to what you guys do to children, is delusional. What happened to all this anger that you're having when you talk about me as a kid doing the stupid thing a middle schooler can do to himself, and it's such an impulsive moment of a child? When you're trash as in a program that is torturing and killing and doing horrible things to kids, you understand? For me, I don't respect people like that. You're just an opportunist. There's something you get out of this. I don't know if it's just financial, but there's incentives that makes you forget and block out the reality of what you're part of. So whatever's going to happen to me, it's not going to change that. I find myself lucky. Now, when I say I find myself lucky, I don't mean that it's going to stop what's horrible things that are going to happen to me. I find myself lucky that in my lifetime, I didn't have to involve myself with any kind of organization or program that does these things to children. I'm not perfect, but these things feels noble. I could have been a grown man or grown woman blocking out the reality and try to talk about a man or woman action as a child in 8th grade, of a dumb moment of a child, knowing damn well that I'm in a program that is torturing babies, that even infants, 3 weeks old, and then try to disorient the target individual who's seeing things for what they are, but calling out some random torture that this person is going to experience. Disorientation is happening right now, disorienting me, because I'm talking about this logic these people trick themselves into. I could have been living life like this. I could have lived life where I have to counter the reality that I'm in a program that is torturing kids, and wanting this person to forget about this, but remember what you did as a child when you did this dumb thing, that impulsive moment, but forget about how we're torturing babies. We dared. Obviously, I see these things because I'm trying to disorient and distort reality and try to be deceiving, but make it seem like I'm protecting children when I'm in a program that is torturing kids. Some of these people involved in this program have children. So they are in a program where they know children, the age of their children, are being tortured, even tortured sexually. Now, why can I not? This is a lucky. Like, I'm lucky I somehow did not find a way to normalize these things. Because it seems like it's easy to normalize it by the number of people involved. So we're lucky in that sense. Now, because of that reality too, these people wanted to delude themselves into a false reality. They created a distorted reality. And this distorted reality is not being, it's not working really well. So what's going to happen? To continue this distorted reality, they're going to create a theatrical of torture. Now, with me, I've been repetitive. And they tell me they're waiting for that moment to happen to me, right? And I'm like, yes, please do that, because we all know that life, is not limited. I could have been waiting, like these people waiting, for the day somebody start getting tortured, while I'm in a program that is today continuously torturing women, men, and children. And I watch these men being tortured as if that's going to change the fact that I'm in a program that tortures men, women, and children. And then as if his torture is going to change the fact that my life is not going to change for any better. But I dedicated my life doing these things. And now I'm so compromised that I have to block out the reality that I'm in a program that is doing so much horrible things to babies and women, and then having to lie to myself and say the things to disorient people, to say, oh, we dared. They can't even say the name of a pedophile called Roy Moore. And then they'll die however death comes to them. There is nothing you can make me think that I would like to live their life. I know they use childlike individuals, but some of them are not children. A lot of them are not children. Majority of them are adults, grown men and women doing these things. I've never seen in my life. And that's why this thing is going to be bad for me. Such humiliation and such a distortion of reality. And seeing a man or a woman being this level of humiliated and seeing them blocking that out, it is so bad. It is so humiliating. It's just unbelievable. Now for me, what it means, this humiliation is going to be sent to me because of what they wanted to paint themselves as they try to do this thing. I know that as a target individual, these perps will do the foulest of the foul. They will try to make a point, a theatrical point, to try to counter what I just said to you. Because the reality is, these people are a disturbing threat to children and women, and have been painting themselves as something and deceiving people, and deceiving me, sorry. I don't care about people, but they try to deceive me and try to present themselves as this group of people avenging what you did as a kid. And you should hear the way they talk to me when they're just like, oh, like the V2K, they use this tonality in V2K, and they just make themselves so angry. They psych themselves out. Oh, you go, and I'm listening to a woman talking about her and her young child being tortured mentally and physically by this bottom feeder. And I'm like, where is this energy now? Like I could have been this guy. I could have been be like, oh my god, that's how they speak like that via V2K. I could have been a man or woman doing this thing. I could have been out there, try to make a target individual just thinking this distorted reality, disorient him or her like that. Oh, what you did as a kid? You're a kid. I'm in a program that kills and tortures children. And I could have been that. Target individuals. Whatever's going to happen to me, I just want to say that I see why we think that we're the chosen one. Because we are lucky to not having to do what they do. We could have been like them. We could have been doing these things to other people. We could have been doing the same thing. At first I was like, man, I could never do this. But I'm looking at them more and more. It's like, oh, maybe I'm just got lucky. Thank you, God. I could have been doing these things. I could have been doing this thing to a woman, or man, or child over there, while being a program that does these things. I could have lived that life. I could have just normalized it and tried to block out, to escape reality, and enjoy the fact that I'm part of this program, that's this global network that these governmental entities have been putting together, and be involved with a lot of other people, and try to make this thing cool, and not be able to say a name of like Roy Moore, because this is something they can't say right now. That is why I am so thankful. Matter of fact, somebody just tried to disorient me and yelled that it's war. I could have been like, it's war. It's like, we are war. Like, can you imagine if I imagine this distort reality to that level? Pure cowardness, pure trashiness, to try to even distort yourself in this way. I'm so thankful. I could have been using military-grade weaponry on civilians and be like, we are war, because I wanted to disorient this person. When I say these things, when I mimic what they say, that's literally what they say. And my brain, as illogical as it is, how they try to counter that. I don't even want to explain. We are forced to think like we're on the spectrum, for them to try to normalize these things. They're not at war, but they will torment me to a level that I don't understand. But I'm thankful to God. I'm thankful to God that I did not live their life. These people, who knows how many of them have already tortured women and children? I know there's a big number there. Women, high number. Children, I don't know how high. But for sure they have. Can you imagine saying that to a woman? I'm torturing a woman over children. We are at war. Some women have said that. See, telling her that we are at war. Deal with it. To try to agitate. Can you imagine a housewife by herself being tortured by military-grade weaponry? And the best thing about testimonials, and that's why I recommend all target individuals record your testimonials. I'm telling you, you don't know how much impact it can make on somebody who's being targeted. Once you hear the same story, it changes everything. Because we are disoriented as target individual. Reality is distorted, and deceptions is something that you don't understand. Once you start seeing things and you see the patterns of the torture, you realize this is okay. Okay. It's not this next door neighbor doing this thing. It's not that 14-year-old next door neighbor. Or it's not this, or like you start putting things together. Oh, this thing is just, they're not just doing this thing to me. It's systematically done. And it puts things in perspective. as these people are truly like, it's like a character. They create this persona when they go through these things, and then you start going through. Now you see them in a different. Oh, okay, I see. Oh, you start seeing these perps differently, because you start seeing the patterns of what they do to people, and you understand this is how they act. This is how they want you to subscribe. Okay, this is disorienting. That's why they are here speaking this way via the V2K while I'm putting things in perspective. They want to confuse me. To all my target individuals, please leave your testimonial. I'm not saying that our life is short. It is shorter, maybe. I'm not trying to demoralize you, but one thing is for sure. You're a lucky being for not being involved in this program in that way. Our life is sufferance, but I'm telling you, there's nobility in this horribleness that we deal with. These bottom feeders, whatever dignity they had, the second they involve themselves in this program, that is erased. That's probably why they need to stick in this community of what they've done together, maintain this to tell themselves they're okay. But the reality, they know they're not. And the day will come when it's time to go. They've been waiting for my death, but they don't know when their death is coming. Some have waited and died while waiting. Not that they had to wait too long. It's just, that's life. You don't know when is your time. And so me, I'm like, I could have been like this trash. They're trying to intimidate me into accepting this. They can't even say a name of a pedophile. For me, the way I'm going to go through this torture and torment is I'm going to have to run to it. I think that's my purpose. Because this bottom feeders, this perps, they need to see, okay, your cowardness, let's see. This person, I'm not a brave man, like in the sense of like, oh no, I want to go to, I want to get hurt. I don't want that. Hell no. But there's a purpose. I will run toward whatever torment and sufferance. I will deal with some horrible things, but I have to go through it. Because these bottom feeders, there's something waiting for them as they're waiting for my death. So to all my target individuals, stay strong and know that justice will be done for the nasty things they involve themselves into, for calling themselves gods, for waiting, not knowing what's going to come for them. So stay strong.